Okay, good morning. Welcome to Frank Holton State Park. I'm Natalie Phelps-Finney, the director of the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, and we couldn't have special ordered a more beautiful fall morning than we have today for this exciting announcement. I want to start by thanking the site staff here at Frank Holton and the conservation police officers who work so hard to maintain this park, keep it beautiful, keep it safe. And with us today, I do want to recognize them. Site Superintendent Jim Gowan, please give us a wave, Jim. Thank you. Assistant Site Superintendent Noah Walls. Site Tech Bob Rutkowski. Thank you. And with our conservation police, we have Captain Mark Folden. Captain, where'd you go? Give us a wave, Captain. Sergeant Tim Buhner-Kempe and Officers Ian Hahn and Amanda McEwen. The work they do on behalf of this community and all the other sites across the region is truly amazing. I also want to acknowledge our friends from the Grand Marais Golf Club here at Frank Holton State Park. They're with us today. Bob Bonner. Bob, give us a wave. There he is. Tony Cox and Leah Austin. And I understand that every Thursday morning there's a golf scramble, I think, right? And they were gracious enough to bump that to keep playing the front nine while we did our business up here. So thank you for allowing us to interrupt the scramble this morning. But today's announcement is one we've looked forward to for years. And we wouldn't be here today if it weren't for our partners at EV Box. And I do want to recognize Dan Fedor right out of the outset here with EV Box. Thank you. EV Box has donated 40 Level 2 electrical chargers to IDNR for placement at our state parks and historic sites across the state. This is an incredible donation, and we're so very grateful for your generosity. Thank you. IDNR has placed the first 3 of these chargers at parks that are within about a 60-mile drive of St. Louis. You can find them here at Frank Holton, at Eldon Hazlitt State Park near Carlisle, and at Washington County State Recreation Area near Nashville. We've also installed one at Jim Edgar Panther Creek State Fish and Wildlife Area in Cass County in central Illinois, and more will come online in the coming months at Giant City State Park down here in Jackson County and Starved Rock State Park near Utica. Our installations will continue across the state from there. And I want to take a moment to highlight my Chief of Staff, John Teefee, is here. I don't know where he got to. He's out in the crowd somewhere. Senior Advisor Joel Sacknoff, see you, Joel, and Calvin Beckman, our Chief of State Parks. These 3 on the DNR side made this possible. This is not an easy thing to do. It seems like simple when you say we just installed an EV charger. It's a very complex, difficult process that has eluded some, not our team. They did great work, so thank you to you 3. These are the first chargers to be made available for public use by the state of Illinois. When we first received the good news from our sister agency at DCEO, and thank you, Lisa Clemens-Stott, for being here today, that EV Box was donating chargers, Frank Holton and other underserved rural sites were our immediate priority. Governor Pritzker has made it a top priority to make real investments in our forgotten communities. I live in one of those. The governor allocated $6 million for long overdue capital improvements right here at Frank Holton, and 50% of that design is done, and we're going to see some groundwork starting in 2025 on those projects. So thank you, Governor. Thank you for those investments. Also want to thank members of the General Assembly, and we have several with us here today. I will not name them all, but thank you for voting, passing the Rebuild Illinois Capital Bill, and the annual budgets that are reviving IDNR in our state parks. And a special thanks to Senator Belt. I'm going to highlight Senator Belt here for his work, and former Representative Greenwood. The member initiative money that put huge investment here. We have new basketball courts, lighting, a new state-of-the-art kitchen at the club. Wonderful work. Thank you. And of course, thanks to Mayor McCall for all his advocacy, fierce advocacy for his community. And now, thanks to EV Box's commitment to building out the charging network in Illinois, the state is able to place chargers in rural and underserved communities where there is a growing demand for them. The addition of EV chargers in Illinois state parks reinforces goals set forth in IDNR's Climate Action Plan, which is our roadmap to zero greenhouse emissions by 2050. These EV chargers are yet another convenience we can offer to electrical vehicle drivers as we encourage them to visit Illinois scenic parks and historic sites. Our hope is that visitors and tourists will stop at an Illinois state park, have a picnic, or hike a trail where their car charges for a couple of hours before they head to their next destination. And hopefully their experience is delightful enough that they'll tell their friends about it, and so on and on. They too will visit our beautiful parks. So once again, thank you to EVBox for partnering with IDNR to bring this convenience to Illinois state parks. This is a pivotal investment in our parks. Now I would like to invite, it's my huge honor to invite Governor Pritzker to make comments. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Director. Well, thank you very much, Director, and especially thank you for the tremendous work that you and your team do at IDNR. I think all of you, I hope, have noticed that over the past several years, especially, there's been a real upgrade of the operations of IDNR. The look and feel just driving in here to the Frank Holden Park is, well, a lot different than it was, let's say, 3 years ago. And so I'm very grateful for the work that's been done, and excited about what is yet to come. It's really a privilege to be here at Frank Holden State Park, one of our many outdoor spaces in Illinois that I think we're all very proud of. It's just beautiful. We're here at the intersection of recreation and conservation. It's the perfect setting for today's celebration and recognition. I'm proud to announce today that the Illinois Department of Natural Resources has installed the first set of EV charging stations at 4 state parks. You heard which ones. Very important to us. It will get all across IDNR's properties, but these are the first 4, and it's a milestone that brings us closer to reaching our, well, somewhat ambitious goals of encouraging a reduction in fossil fuel emissions, advancing further EV adoption by making charging more convenient for people, and making it easier for people to explore all of our incredible state parks and what they have to offer. I want to thank the team at EVBox especially. They're supplying the charging boxes for this program. These are the first of 40 that they have donated for installation at parks, historic sites, museums, and beaches across the state, a reflection of their tireless commitment to giving back to the people of Illinois. EVBox is a market leader in electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and it's delivered over 500,000 charging ports to partners and customers globally. The company's North American headquarters are right here in the state of Illinois, so they employ our friends, our brothers and sisters across the state, and it really has made a commitment, this company, to be a good corporate citizen, and that's evident in the announcement that we're making today. So thank you to EVBox. I mentioned IDNR Director Natalie Phelps-Finney, of course, but I really want to thank the entire staff at the Illinois Department of Natural Resources for their work to bring this project to life. Some of you may not know that IDNR over the years has had fewer and fewer staff people because budget cuts and other things. When I came into office, we started to turn that around, and importantly, they're still understaffed, but they're accomplishing so much with the staff that they have, and I think it's important to recognize that. Last August, IDNR, despite the need for more people and more help, put together a climate action plan. It's a roadmap to put them at the leading edge of our state's climate goals and promote their core work to preserve Illinois' treasured natural gifts for the next generation. And it's another example of them implementing an important plan for the people of our state. And I'm really grateful for the rigor that the people at IDNR have put to the mission of lifting us all up to conservation and, of course, to climate action. I want to acknowledge members of the General Assembly. A couple have been mentioned. Senators Chris Belt and Erica Harris are here. Representatives Jay Hoffman, Katie Stewart, and Kevin Schmidt. I just want to say we can't get much done in the state of Illinois unless there's a partnership between the governor and the General Assembly, finding ways to work together and getting things done. And I am grateful for all that has been done to put a shoulder to the wheel and capital to investing in our great state parks, and of course to our climate action that the state has taken, which is making a big difference and is recognized worldwide. And lastly, I want to thank our local partners who delivered this project, who are here. Mayor Curtis McCall has been mentioned, of Cahokia Heights, always a great partner for me. whenever I come to the area, and there's ways in which the state and Cahokia Heights have been working together to advance the interests of the residents of the mayor's city, and of course St. Clair County Board Chair Mark Kern. I can't say enough about the work that we've done together, economic development especially. I feel like every time we get together, we get to announce something really great going on in St. Clair County, so let's just make it a regular thing. Over the last 5 years, state government has really put its shoulder to the wheel to accelerate the electric vehicle industry and its growth in the state of Illinois. Thousands of jobs have already been created. Billions of private sector dollars have been invested in our state as a result. And we now have over 120,000 EVs registered in Illinois, on our way to meeting a goal of 1 million electric vehicles by 2030. The most critical need on our way to that goal is building the charging infrastructure to make electric vehicles as convenient and accessible as any other car, and convenient and accessible as we all want. It is initiatives like this one, helping EV owners get out and experience our beautiful state parks and recreation areas, that will be part of what gets us there. With this initiative, we'll get more people out to enjoy nature while reducing air pollution that comes from internal combustion engine vehicles. And in the context of this beautiful state park, we're preserving and protecting our environment for our children. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today. I'd like to say that you made a huge sacrifice, but it is, about 73 degrees out here, and it is amazing. I think we should call class outside every day now, at least until it gets cold. But it is great to see all of you here and to share a commitment together in the future of our state, our commitment to the state, and of course to our planet. So with that, I want to hand the podium over to our great partner in this work from EV Box, Dan Fedor. Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Governor. Thank you very much. Thank you, Governor Pritzker, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for having us here. As the governor mentioned, I'm Dan Fedor from EV Box. We are based in Illinois, just north of the city in the suburb of Libertyville. I happen to live 5 minutes from the facility myself. That was a coincidence, but it's great to be able to go there and see everyone hard at work on some of these charging stations, one of which you see behind me that we manufacture here in Illinois. What you see behind me today is what we call a level 2 charger. And for those of you, I am one of those 120,000 Illinoisans who have an EV now. And what those chargers behind me do is they draw the same amount of power as your clothes dryer or your electric stove. It's a 220 outlet. I'm not an electrician by any means, but bottom line is they don't draw a lot of power. And what that charger behind me can do for those vehicles is give them about 15 to 20 miles of range every hour. So imagine being able to drive to a state park, plug in, and by the time you're done with your walk or your golf game, which for me might take 6 hours to golf 9, if anyone sees a Titleist out there, it's mine, you drive home with essentially a full tank of gas. It's just an amazing thing. And as we drove in today in what happened to be a hybrid, we passed by a turn in the pond, and it just is a perfect match to have EVs driving around a state park and a golf course because they're so quiet. And I'm also very pleased, Mr. Mayor, to mention that when my colleague and I got off the Amtrak yesterday, in order to lift, we were picked up by a driver, one of your constituents, I believe, in a Chevy Bolt. And that individual is hardworking, bought the EV purposely for the reduction in the maintenance costs, of course, the savings in fuel, and mentioned to us that charging stations are few and far between, but that they're growing, and I certainly let him know about the new charging station at Frank Holton State Park. So this is really happening. One of my visions is that another Illinois-based company, Lion Electric, building those electric school buses. At some point, we're going to have an electric school bus, take a bunch of kids either here or Starved Rock. That bus is going to plug in, not make a noise, not emit 1 ounce of pollution, and the kids are going to have a whole day at the park, and that bus is going to be full of range on its way back to school. So just an amazing thing to witness. And with the events of last week, with the hurricane in the southeast, the desire and the need to mitigate climate change is stronger than ever. And one thing that's really been remarkable in this disaster is, if you've seen on the news, there are individuals who have been able to power their home. We call it vehicle to home, or V to H charging. And it's just another example of, no matter what the reason, EVs can be literal lifesavers in times of disaster. And so you talk about solar, you talk about EV, you talk about charging, and eventually we can be completely off the grid in terms of how we're powering our vehicles. Having said that, again, we're so grateful to be able to donate these chargers to the state of Illinois, and I am excited to be able to announce here today that I've been given the authority to donate at least another 15 chargers to this state if you'll take them by the end of the year. So this is great news for everyone. They don't draw a lot of power, but they provide a lot of range for vehicles in situations like this. So it's just a wonderful thing to begin to see these things come together. We want to see Illinois continue to become a leader in electric vehicle production, electric vehicle charging production, promoting electric vehicle use, and with the governor's efforts and the team assembled here, that is definitely happening, and we're just excited to be a part of it. We're so grateful that we've had a chance to participate in today's events. We're certainly available for questions post-event about the charging capabilities, but the bottom line is this is a great start. It's wonderful to see the chargers operating. And again, it's wonderful not to hear any muffler noise as you drive through a state park or get ready to swing off on T1. So with that, I will turn it over to Lisa Clemens Scott, but I thank you all. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, distinguished guests, and thank you for being here.
Good morning. I'm the E-Mobility and Innovation Director at the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, or DCEO. I do want to thank my colleagues at the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, because when I called, there was a question, but there obviously wasn't a question because they were able to get this done. So happy to be here to announce the installation of these new EV chargers. I also want to thank Dan and the whole team at EV Box. They're a great company to work for. They're our Illinois charging company. These are made in Illinois, as he said. And this is an incredible contribution, including an additional 15 units to Illinois' goal of creating a greener future. Electric vehicle travel is gaining popularity, and one of the things that is hidden sometimes is that they're fun to drive. They are fun to drive. And Illinois is at the forefront of this eco-friendly movement. Under Governor Pritzker's leadership, we've made great strides in the electric vehicle space, especially on the road to 1 million electric vehicles on the road by 2030. EVs have also played a significant role in sustaining Illinois as a world-class tourist destination. According to the U.S. Travel Association, 65% of travelers are interested in taking EV road trips, but they fear being stranded without a charging station. A recent AAA survey found that 50% of travelers cite a lack of charging stations as the primary concern for EV road trips. So charging fear is real. Range anxiety is real. But here in Illinois, we're continuously working to ensure this will soon be a concern of the past. With over 1,200 public EV charging stations across Illinois, and we're adding more every single month, thanks to state investments, thanks to federal investments, and thanks to donations like this, travelers can embark on unforgettable road trips and explore all our great state has to offer with ease. Travelers can find resources on enjoyillinois.com, where they can actually map out where the charging stations are on their trip, making it simple to plan eco-friendly adventures. Continuous collaboration and efforts like this are helping Illinois move forward, creating a safer and greener future for us in Illinois and for our visitors alike. And with that, I would love to bring up State Senator Christopher Belt.
Good morning. Good morning. First of all, I want to take this time to thank the governor for his vision, his dedication, and his commitment in leading the charge, yes, pun intended, towards electrification, right? Secondly, I want to thank the governor and director Finney for choosing Frank Holden State Park as one of the parks to receive EV station. This is huge. And, you know, I grew up 3 minutes up the street, literally 3 minutes up the street. And this park has always been near and dear to me. This was a place I would come to literally and figuratively cool off, right? And recharge my batteries, right? And now we've come full circle. I want to thank Dan for EV Box for the donation. Great step up, great corporate citizen to do this. One of the things that I do know, my daughter has an electric vehicle, and they have to plan. She lives outside of Dallas, but they plan their trips, and you have to know where the charging stations are. Well, guess what now? As you travel and as you come south, as they come north towards home, Frank Holden State Park will pop up now. And it'll pop up not just for them, obviously, but for anyone traveling, right? And it should bring more travelers to the park. And as stated earlier, once you're out here, I mean, look how nice it is, right? You can fish while you're charging. You can golf while you're charging. You can take a stroll on the newly dedicated walking trail that's in the park. Or maybe shoot some hoops on the new basketball court. And by the way, those are Rebuild Illinois dollars that did that. So, or you could just go into the golfing facility, go upstairs in the banquet hall and get you a nice meal and watch TV while you charge. And so you immediately see the economic benefit of having these charging stations in your park, right? Not to mention the physical benefit. Get out, walk, right, while you're charging. The third thing, and the most obvious thing for any electrification or going green, as we speak, is the reduction in the carbon footprint. In areas like Cahokia Heights, that's been plagued by environmental poverty, environmental racism, there is pre-existing conditions, comorbidities relative to asthma, relative to a host of respiratory issues and other ailments these EV stations should help relieve some of those situations. So it's a win-win for everyone. Again, I am so happy to be here. My first job was here at age 16. I was out in this park cutting grass, weed eating, and all that stuff. And so it is really a treat for me to be back here to see that electric charging station and to know that we're going in the right direction and that we're being kind to Mother Earth, which will yield a ton of benefits for us all. And so with that being said, it is my honor, it is my privilege to bring to the lectern the mayor of the newest state in Illinois, Mayor Curtis McCall. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Governor, for the invite this morning. I have had the honor of being around for quite a while in politics. And I have worked with governors from both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats. And I stand here today to say to our governor that you have done more for the people in downstate Illinois than any governor in my lifetime. Thank you. And especially for the citizens of my city, Cahokia Heights. Between our federal, state, county partners, our city has secured over $40 million in funding for our aging water and sewer infrastructure. And Governor, I know I'm going off script here, but I can't have you right here in my city and not talk about these wonderful things that you're doing other than what you're doing today, because it's so important to my citizens. While we have secured those $40 million, it was State Senator Christopher Belt, State Representative Jay Hoffman, former State Representative Greenwood, that secured those fundings, put it in the budget that our great governor signed so that we can get $30 million from the state of Illinois. And I again want to thank you, Governor. I am pleased to announce that of those $40 million that we have secured, that 15 million of those dollars are currently underway with construction as we speak, with another 25 million is either in engineering design or going out to bid as we speak here today. Finally, I want to say to the governor, and also thank State Representative Jay Hoffman, State Senator Christopher Belt, along with the governor, who passed legislation that we are now ready to build a new high school for our citizens in School District 187, a high school that currently is over 72 years of age. But thanks to the leadership of our governor, on the 18th of this month, we're going to be having a groundbreaking. And Governor, we would love for you to come back for that. At this time, I want to welcome back to the podium the great Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. Very kind. Happy to take any questions from members of the media. Yes?
Is there a timeline to get all these EV chargers installed at the state park?
I'm going to turn it over to the director to give you the timeline. Yeah.
I don't have an exact timeline for you. I would say it took us maybe about a year to get these done from the time we realized, so that's pretty quick. We have others that are, other parks that are, electricity ready. We have other parks where we're going to have to build that infrastructure out. So, finding funds for that. So it's going to take a bit more time to get all 40 in, but we're optimistic it's going to be not years.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, and the 15 chargers that were donated, just announced today, those will also go in state parks?
Or other DNR sites. We have historic sites and other, yeah. Thank you.
Is there a charging station goal to match the 1 million by 2030?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, first of all, it's as many as we can get installed as fast as possible. But we have actually somebody who is in charge for the state, again, pun intended, I guess, of focusing on those charging stations. So just recently, we received a federal grant that is assisting us with making sure we have charging stations every 50 miles on the highways of Illinois. And that's hugely important if you want to go anywhere, to know that you absolutely have some place to charge. Right now, we have over 2,000 chargers that are in existence in the state of Illinois. The goal here is to get to more than 10,000. It'll take some time. It's not as easy as just plugging it into an existing outlet somewhere, right? We've got to actually build the infrastructure, which involves sometimes running underground lines to locations. But all of that is part of this effort to do it in a manner that makes it easy for, if you own an electric vehicle, for you to charge when you're going on a trip. So it isn't sort of haphazard. The idea here is to do it in a planned fashion so that we're making it easy for people to drive across and around Illinois, as well as to get to the locations they may be going to. If you're coming from Chicago and going to St. Louis, for example, we need all the charging along the way to go to St. Louis, even if we're not responsible for the ones in St. Louis. So we have a goal. We're working mightily and as fast as possible toward that goal, with support from the federal government, with support from the state government and our capital bill.
The federal office of the comptroller of the currency has filed a brief supporting a challenge to the state law limiting interchange fees. Does this raise any concerns about that this law will be voided?
Well, sure. I mean, it's not something that I, deeply concerned about, because I think the challenge to it will be adjudicated and a decision will get made. But as far as I'm concerned, we passed a law that I think is having a positive effect. But again, when things get brought to court, you never know how they'll turn out. I think this one is one that can be defended well, and will end up with the law that we have on the books being affirmed.
Should Metro East communities be concerned about an arms race in the event that Missouri voters approve sports betting, as far as folks going across state lines?
An arms race, you mean because just the competitive environment?
Or that operators might choose to go to Missouri?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that, first of all, the folks here in Illinois are using Illinois based apps and companies that do business in Illinois. I think that, again, the companies themselves would frankly suffer if they decide to go across state lines and operate in other states. So I actually don't think it'll be an enormous problem for us. And there's betting in Indiana, just to give you an idea. I mean, so it hasn't happened. Companies are not getting up and leaving, as a result of the change in the tax code. We have the zero impact on the bettors themselves, right? This was all, we put in place when we had sports betting authorized in the state of Illinois. We put in place one of the lowest tax rates for sports betting operations in the country. And although that rate has now been raised a bit, it's not near where the top rates are in the states where we are competitive. For example, I think we're the third largest sports betting state in the country, right? We have the third largest number of sports bettors here. And the states that are above us and even a couple below us have sports betting tax rates on those companies at 10 and 15 and 20% higher than ours.
We'll do one more. Any thoughts on the governor's debate or the vice presidential debate the other night?
Our guy won. Look, as I've said many times, I think one of the things that it showed is that the Democratic vice presidential nominee, Tim Walz, is a regular guy. He's a guy who lives down the street from you, the guy you trust when you're going out of town to keep an eye on your house. He's the coach at your local high school that did a great job coaching your kid and, gave them some value to take away as they grow up. And I think that came across on the debate stage. And on the opposite side was a guy who's a slick debater, no doubt, a Yale-educated debater. But they didn't have real-time fact-checking. I wish they did, because about every 10, 15 seconds, a bell would have gone off on things that he was saying on that debate stage.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.